So this is definitely my most controversial tangent talk video posted so far. This is why I started going back to my public steam room in 2021. Don't get me wrong, when everyone started social distancing in March of 2020 because of COVID, I stopped teaching my fitness classes in person. I made sure that when I started feeling sick, I practiced even more strict distancing techniques. I've also had to completely rethink the way in which I supply my art to my fans. But with where we are at now, I made the decision to start living closer to what normality used to be. And living in Wyoming, I do have more ability to find this normality than others around the globe. And I really try my best not to take that for granted. Which is why I'm making this video in the first place. Potentially putting myself in some crosshairs of people who may be locked down still, or those who might be dealing with the virus differently than me. Some of you may be looking at the screen saying, going to a public steam room right now? What an ass. And to you I say, just hear me out and let's educate each other. I'm truly not being sarcastic. I genuinely want to see someone politely prove me wrong. So with those concerns aside, using the steam room at my local rec center throughout my life has been a constant positive experience. Only later in my life have I really come to appreciate how much I have gained from just sitting in a hot room. Again, I can already hear people say, it's just a steam room, not a huge deal. And on the surface, you're totally right. It's a hot room filled with a bunch of strangers. But that's exactly the point. The first positive experience I've pulled from attending a steam room is the uncanny amount of diversity you come across. People from all different cultures and lifestyles come to work out at their local gyms. So logically, a portion of those people will sit in a steam room at some point. Over the years, I've had such insightful conversations that in any other situation might have not been talked about at all. This is my reasoning. If a group of strangers are talking about a topic they're passionate about in a room that's over 100 degrees, they probably won't have enough energy to argue, which typically means they will at least try to attempt looking at another person's point of view. My mind comes up with some of my favorite ideas while in a steam room. Throughout these conversations, the steam room has really turned into a space for impromptu group therapy sessions. To talk about life, philosophy, politics, family, love, work. Not to say that everybody wants to talk every time you see them, but 9 times out of 10, they were conversations for me personally. There's even a scientific answer for why conversations in a steam room or sauna can be more productive and calm. So, this is your brain. And this is your brain in a steam room. Okay, so steam rooms don't make your brain look structurally different. But if we take a look at the part of your brain called the hypothalamus, we find a gland called the pituitary gland. Its job is to create and regulate hormones across your entire body. To break it down even further, hormones are the substances or chemicals that make us feel or act in a certain way. The hormone we are focusing on today is called cortisol. If any of you have ever heard of hydrocortisone, the steroid cream, this is where that name comes from. Instead of treating inflammation on your skin, this hormone is in charge of regulating blood sugar and certain metabolic functions inside of your body. Disclaimer, please don't eat hydrocortisone, it will not regulate anything and you will probably have to go to the hospital. Cortisol is a dominant hormone, so when the pituitary gland is sending out cortisol to your adrenal glands and the rest of your body, it truly likes to take over other less dominant hormones. And it can be extremely hard to lower these dominant hormone levels. High levels of cortisol over time can cause diabetes, high blood pressure, severe fatigue, and a list far too long for me to continue boring you with science-y words for today. So, to make a long story moderately short, steam rooms have been shown to lower cortisol. And like claimed before, lower cortisol levels equals lower blood pressure, less fatigue, and in turn, less stress. So conversations in steam rooms not only have a better chance of staying moderately calm socially, there's actually a lot of pretty nicely documented studies done about the health benefits of steam rooms. To name a few, the heat helps open up your pores, which makes you sweat out toxins that build up during a workout or throughout daily life. It also opens up your sinuses, typically enough to combat congestion and severe pressure. A study from 2013 found that the heat from steam rooms loosens up painful joints enough to reduce the force and energy needed to move by 25%. Improved blood circulation is one of the biggest factors in why steam rooms feel so nice. More blood circulating means more oxygen moving around your body. And if you weren't aware before now, our brains love oxygen, and in some cases, our brains will even release hormones called endorphins, which are the chemicals that are most closely associated with happiness and love. Just another reason for higher rates of productive conversation in a steam room. Okay, so I've touched on the benefits that steam rooms offer to society in a normal setting, but what about steam rooms during the coronavirus struggles? The first thing I have to say is that steam rooms are not hot enough to kill viruses. So if you are sick or know that someone sick went to a steam room or public place, do not go to the steam room or public place. Like stated before, I did practice extreme social distancing for just under a year. With where we're at now, it seems that this virus is far too contagious to be looked at as if we can avoid it forever. With the way that the world approached this virus, we still see populations of individuals secluding themselves from their jobs, friends, family, and the activities they have come to love. While there is a duty to those who are sick to stay away from those who are not sick, it begs the questions. When is it safe to live our lives again? When can we begin to rebuild what has been broken? What is safe or unsafe? There doesn't seem to be a clear-cut answer, even with our top scientists on the case. This virus has turned into something different, a political and continental battle, a debate on vaccines, an us versus them battle. When in reality, the power we have is much more than the words in which we speak to each other. It's the way in which we plan to live our lives from here on out. We can't go living on in fear forever, but we can be cautious and mindful of each other's struggles. For example, when we shelter immunocompromised individuals from sicknesses they cannot protect against, we are doing a justice and our civic duty. When we shelter those who are healthy and capable, in some ways we are preparing them to be immunocompromised. They begin to subject themselves to the same environment every day, so the variability of situations and toxins of their immune system go down. Not to say we know what everybody's physical and mental health is like before they get really sick, but I feel there is a fine line between being extra safe and not trusting in nature. There has been a term thrown around a lot depicting the communal immunity and resistance towards a disease. Herd immunity. If you haven't heard about it, look it up. There are a lot of interesting studies done on this subject, showing how our brains and our bodies build up immunity towards something by just being subjected to it. Our bodies are resilient and fragile at the same time, so depending on the day, you could grow much stronger or feel extremely weak. Although there is little we can do to protect somebody from a future unknown virus, I do know that educating individuals about their bodies and how to help keep them healthy throughout a novel sickness is paramount. Not just physically healthy, but mentally, socially, economically. I do not want this video to be perceived like I do not appreciate and respect our healthcare workers in this past year. There has been a huge surge in patient volume and a large feeling of uncertainty during this time, and I appreciate all that they do. But when an entire population continues to die and get sick in circumstances that are depressing at best, something needs to change. Our populations continue to dwindle. All while the economy crashes, we receive stimulus checks, not wellness checks. In the US, it is shown that domestic violence towards partners or children is down by 50% in 2020. This statistic doesn't suggest that 50% less people are being physically and emotionally abused. All it says to me is that 50% or more of people are now closed off from getting help. The system we have been building and evaluating is now functioning without any balances or checks, leaving millions of people without professional help, without jobs, without their personal support systems. Mandates are being put in place in order to ensure that people are closed off. Yes, from a public health standpoint, we want people to be closed off from each other to contain a virus. This virus is no longer contained, and from my perspective, it hasn't been for a while. Our country decided not to take precautionary actions against the coronavirus, and now we must decide how to move forward. Again, we must be cautious and respectful of people's fears and their struggles. But as long as my intentions are greater than my expectations in this world, I feel I don't have to fear hurting others. Not that I don't think about how my actions can hurt others, instead knowing that my intention is not to hurt anyone, but to learn how to continue living my life with this new challenge in my way. If I get sick, I stay home. If someone I love is sick, I tell them to stay home. If someone I love who is sick needs groceries or a service outside of their home, I help them. If I need help, I ask for help. I know it's not as simple as I am making it, and not everybody has that support, but I hope to continue the calm conversations that need to happen in order for our society to continue growing. The things I do for myself in society in order to stay mentally, economically, and socially stable need to continue. I'm willing to change the way in which I accomplish these goals, but if I wait 5 years to continue learning about who I am, I may be far too discouraged to leave my comfort zone. Me just stuck in a zone of complacency. One must practice their passions in order to get better. Right now, we are learning to practice them in a new environment. Okay, so this video has everything and nothing to do with steam rooms at the same time. Using my local steam room is just something that brings me joy and keeps me healthy after working out. There are so many other activities I could have used as an example, but I have this idea while in a steam room. So I felt I should share my experience with something that has been a regular part of my life that I take for granted far too much. This is definitely not the last thing I will start back up in 2021. But since it was one of the first activities, this is why I decided to start going back to my local steam room in 2021. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to hear about what activities you plan to start back up in 2021 and what struggles you might have to overcome in order to do those activities. Comment those down below, like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed. See you later.
There are times that I find myself falling for the humors of this world, to be pulled from side to side as if I'm a piece of clay.